unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time.
Your genitals are none of my business. And my genitals are none of your business. Well, most of you anyway. Is that a hard thing to understand? You know? That my junk, my privates, there's a reason why we call them privates, and we call them my junk. My private junk is none of your business, and your private junk is none of my business. It's none of anybody's business, really. Maybe one other person at a time. If you're really kinky, a few other people. Maybe you do orgies. Maybe you make your genitals the business of 5 people at the same time. You know, maybe your junk is the business. Your private junk is the business of your gynecologist or your doctor or your husband or your wife. You know, or your lover. Boy, I don't like that word. I don't know why. It gives me the willies. My lover. Ugh. Yeah, it's nobody's business. I mean, in a conversation one-on-one where we talk about sex, maybe, okay, yeah, you can describe the funny feelings in your genitals. I don't really care that much because I understand the funny feelings, because everybody gets funny feelings in their genitals. It's not groundbreaking news to say that something makes your genitals feel interesting, wonderful, funny, weird. Yeah, who cares? One of the, I've said here that I live on no man's land, politically speaking, because my views on things really have a hard time meshing with the left or the right, almost on anything. On certain things, yes, but there's always a caveat. Almost, but not quite. And this is one of the things where my friends, my conservative friends, or let's say extremely right people that I'm friends with, because guess what? I can be friends with people who don't agree with me. Can you believe that? Well, I mean, friends. I don't have any friends, let's be honest. I can tolerate people when they have differing views from a distance. I can tolerate almost anybody from a distance. But one of the things that really, where I definitely sound like a far leftist to my far right friends, is that I just don't care about gender. When suddenly everybody's really wrapped up with, well, there's 762 genders. And the other side is, no, there aren't. There's only 2. There's 2 genders. That's science. It's settled. Settled science. There's only 2 genders. Okay, if that's the way you want to say it. I mean, what about hermaphrodites? What about people born with a vagina and a penis? Has literally happened in nature. What about double penis people? They double male? I don't know, you know. You want to be so exact and certain. There are only 2. There's only 2 genders. Okay, fine. I'll give it to you. There's only men and women. But what about feminine men? What about masculine women? Are you denying that some men are feminine? No, they could be feminine, but they're still, if you got a dick, you're a man. There's no... Okay. And how does that benefit us? By calling a super feminine man a man and just putting him into a box? And how does it benefit us to put a masculine woman with different varying levels of hormones? How does it benefit from you from the outside to define somebody else rather than letting them define themselves? Where is the benefit? That's what I want to know. What's the benefit from that?
Well, because men gotta be men and women gotta be women. God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Okay. It's a good one. Never heard that one before. But where's the societal benefit of poking your nose into somebody's genitals? No, don't get me wrong. Nobody can control how I think about a person. If I perceive a person as a man or a woman, that's up to me. That's my business. That's not their business. They can't tell me what I should call them. I'm going to give them the feedback. If they're projecting as a man, I'll probably call. It's second nature. If I have to think about it, well, that's a different thing. But for most of the time, you don't have to think about it. You go, oh, there's a man, there's a woman, big deal. It's a descriptor. There's a blonde person. They're blonde.
I'm not blonde. This is black hair.
Well, no, it's blonde. It's blonde.
Well, strawberry blonde at least.
Okay. Yeah, it's a descriptor. So what? It's a basic way to categorize. I mean, you know that the thing I've been pushing for the last few decades is radical individualism. So when I see this debate, look, again, I'm not on either side because I definitely think it's unwise to be giving children hormones to push them in one direction or another, as if nature can't do that itself. Let nature figure it out. Just leave them alone. Quit meddling. Let them sit and resolve with themselves how they feel about things as they get older. That's the position I take. Quit, and that's with everything. Stop giving your kids Adderall because they can't pay attention to a boring goddamn teacher, and stop giving them hormone replacement drugs because the little boy wants to wear a dress. Fucking let him wear a dress. Big deal. It's clothes. Clothing doesn't have gender. Drives me crazy.
Well, we need a boys section and a girls section.
Why? Yeah, why? Because those pants have a penis? Guess what? The pants can't mate. They don't have a sex. Neither does a dress. A dress is neither male or female. It's cloth cut in a certain fashion. If you want to wear a dress, wear a goddamn dress. The Scots wear them. Who cares? If you want to put on makeup, put on some makeup. I don't care. It doesn't make you any less of a human being, no matter how you want to dress. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I don't like uniform things. I never have. Like an army, everybody dressed in the same uniform, that's scary to me. And it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be scary when everybody's dressed exactly the same. That's the point. Oh shit, look how many there are. I like the individuals. I do want you to let your freak flag fly. I don't want you to stick your genitals in my face unless I really like you and I really know you. And even then, do we really need to put it in my face? Come on. People are way too obsessed with sex, I think. It's a fantastic thing, but it's not everything. But back to the point. Individualism. So my friends on the right get upset. No, dude, you gotta go with science, man. Science is only two genders. That's just the way it is. It's X, X, or XY. That's it. No other thing. I go, okay. It's actually not true. There are different conditions. They're rare, but there are people with more sets of chromosomes. It turns out weird, okay? There are people that are born with both sexual organs. So that theory falls flat. The argument falls flat overall. Generally, probably true. Who cares? As far as I'm concerned, I want the left to go nuts with the gender stuff. Why? Because it favors my politics, which is radical individualism. And politics meaning a relationship between the individual and authority. The state, right? So I don't think it's the government's business what I do with my genitals. I don't think it's anybody's business, let alone the government. Last thing I want to do is invite the mayor over into my bedroom to supervise me as I fiddle with my own genitals or the genitals of another person who I fancy. I don't need their supervision. I don't need their oversight. I don't want them paying attention to that. I don't want them thinking about it. I don't want them stereotyping me according to my maleness. Well, you're a man, therefore you like blue. You're a woman, you like pink. Actually, I like pink. I like loud colors. I'm a man. I have a penis, and I like feminine colors. I actually like all the colors. It drives me crazy when people ask, what's your favorite color? And I think, you're an idiot. Context is everything. Every color is wonderful in some certain context. The contrast means something. So yeah, look at me getting off subject. I don't want the government thinking about my genitals or talking about my genitals. I don't want them to have any authority. I don't want them to say, you are classified as this and therefore these rules apply. You know, this general statement. I don't want it. I don't have any need for it. Stay off of it. So when the left is going nuts about 72 genders or 75, I'm like going, okay, keep going. Keep going. How many? How many genders? More, more, more. Keep going, keep going. What's the population of Earth? That's the number I want to get to in the gender category as far as the government is concerned. That's how many genders. In other words, moot point. You're a human being. I don't even need them to count me. Govern, aka tell you what to do, boss you around. Not necessary. It's going to happen. I get it. I get it. It's unavoidable, inevitable that there will be governments. That's the way things seem to organize. But let's keep them as small and give them as little power as possible, especially over our genitals. Let's give them zero power over our genitals. Right? How about none? How about zero power? So, yeah, keep going. Keep pushing the multi-gender thing. I love it. I love it. And I even love it because I don't believe in compulsory education. So, keep going bananas with pushing sex education in the classroom. Why? Because the more you do it, the more you get the government involved in my genitals and the genitals of others, I believe the more likely people are going to go, you know what? Maybe not. I don't think I want you talking about genitalia to young children. I don't think it's your job. So keep going nuts. The further they go nuts with that, the more likely reasonable people will say, you know what, I think I can educate my own kids. I think I can teach my own children about not only genitals, which I don't think I even need to teach them at all. Nature is a pretty good goddamn teacher about genitals. You know, pretty good. Pretty good. You don't really need to teach people about sex. You can leave them on an island and their genitals will teach them about sex. What? Wait, what are you doing, Wiener? Ah, you're getting hard and big. Yeah, I'm teaching you about sex, dude. Why, you can talk? Nature teaches about sex. You don't need to. In fact, if you feel you're compelled to teach about sex, you probably got something that you don't think nature will do. You're trying to impose something on top of nature. Anyway, if it's anybody's job to provide guidance beyond nature, nature being the best teacher, but if there's anyone to provide guidance beyond that, probably your closest loved ones, your parents, brothers and sisters, people you fall in love with. Actually, that's a good person to teach you about sex. Your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend. You can learn it together, figure it out. Who knows? It's a weird thing anyway. Nobody knows what they're fucking talking about with sex. People are all so unique and peculiar. Some people like this, some people like that. Newsflash. None of our business. Trying to make anybody conform to something it seems ridiculous. Wait, you're a leaf. You're a green leaf. How dare you turn yellow or red in the fall? Dumb example, I know. I'm full of dumb examples. But yeah, so that's where I don't agree with my friends on the right. Well, I guess I kind of do in a way, and I guess I kind of agree with my friends on the left. Except for the big deal, the big difference between me and the leftists and the rightists are stay out of the fucking business. It's none of your business. It's none of my business, none of your business. Stay out of it. Literally. Out of the 7 billion people in the world, unless you are a crazy rock star or a person with a sexual disorder, maybe a prostitute or a hooker, you're not going to confront many genitals in your life. I think the average is like six partners for average men and 4.6 partners for your average woman. I saw some study. Who knows? Who knows where they did it? But most people, generally speaking, aren't going to confront many genitals in their life. They're not going to rub their genitals on anything besides a few loved ones or a few confused drunk people. Mutually drunk people, okay? Consensually, mutually drunk people mushing their weird parts a bit against each other. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how many genders there are. I don't care about stereotypes. If a person is black, I don't want to draw a box and say these things are attributes of black people. This is how black people behave. This is how white people behave. This is how men are supposed to behave. This is how women are supposed to behave. I think nature does a pretty good job of sorting that out itself. In general, you can look and you can go, most or a bell curve of men are interested in X, Y, and Z. Women, same thing. You can study. I'm not saying don't use words and don't study, but why you gotta be so certain? Why you gotta not allow for anomalies? Anomalies are the greatest. I love anomalies. If there's anything I love, it's an anomaly. Somebody that doesn't fit in. Let's dissect that. I don't want the thing that doesn't fit in to suddenly become the norm. That's where I get really upset with my friends on the left, is where you're taking a very small sliver of the population and you're trying to make that the norm. I get when you're trying to say, hey, don't treat us poorly, give us the same rights. I'm all for that. I think most people are, absolutely. Enjoy the same comforts of life as everybody else. The same inalienable rights are extended to you as well. But then that's where it stops. Now when you're trying to make the anomaly, the outlier, be the norm, like you need to behave like me, otherwise there's a problem. It's like, no, now you've gone too far. It's not your business. It's not my business what you do with your genitals. It's not your business what I do with mine. Okay? If your rights are being denied to you, your inalienable rights are being denied to you, please point out those that are denying them. Assemble a team that I will gladly and enthusiastically join to protect your individual rights. Not your gay rights, not your male rights, not your female rights, not your black rights, not your white rights. I almost said white knights. But your individual Inalienable rights. Isn't that a wonderful word, inalienable? Some people say God-given. Not a bad premise. I'm an atheist, but not a bad premise for rights. From where do you derive these rights, mister? Well, God gave them to me. Who's that? Well, yeah, he knows everything. He's the boss of everything. And he gave them to me, and you can't take them away. Good premise. Good premise. God-given rights, absolutely fantastic premise. And that's coming from an atheist. Inalienable rights. You can't take them away. Natural rights. You know, if somebody's infringing upon those and treating you poorly because you're an anomaly, I'm on your team. I support the anomalies. I support the rights of anomalies, of the outliers. We don't need or want to make outliers conform. Outliers do fantastic things for the world. You know, the genius, smarter than everybody else, figures something out.
But he's an outlier. God, he's too smart. Your brain is too big. It's not fair.
No, outliers are good. We can learn something from a hermaphrodite. What is that? It's a different, what's the name? Klinefelter syndrome? Klinefelter? Something like that. It's where you're born with a penis and a vagina. It's a real thing. So while you're saying,
God would never create such an atrocity.
Yeah, he does. Siamese twins, not the politically correct term, by the way. Siam. It's because those Chinese dudes, they that's where the term Siamese twins comes from, is those two that you see in the Guinness World Book of Records that look like mannequins. They actually look like transgendered Siamese twins. That'd be fun to look into. What genitals? Hey, I need to inspect your genitals. You know, that's the other thing, is when you make the case that I'm a man or I'm a woman, I like to test that system. I remember at BYU, the Brigham Young University, years ago, they had a policy for that men had to shave, which is really weird if you think about it in terms of this debate, that men have to remove their facial hair. In other words, evidence of this two-gender system. The one thing that's completely evidence of that is beard, facial hair. That certainly signifies that you're probably a man. You know, but you have to shave, and if you want to partake at BYU, Brigham Young University. I was at the gaming center, the Wilkinson Center, playing air hockey or pool. I think it was pool. And a guy came out, I had a beard growing, and he said, "I'm sorry, sir, but standards of BYU require that all men must shave. You have to abide by the dress code." And I looked at him, and I said, "I'm a woman." He kind of went blank and went away. And I continued playing my pool game until I was done. I mean, what's he going to do? Inspect my genitals? What are you looking for? You're looking... Is this what the right wants? A genital checks? I did the same thing at an improv class. You know, just a couple years ago. They were announcing at the end of the improv class, one of the social justice warriors instructors, young girl, probably 22, was saying, "We were going to have a femprov class where it's going to be all a safe space for women." And I raised my hand. I said, "Who will be checking genitals? Will you be checking genitals at the door?" And she said, "Well, no, we're just creating a safe space." And I go, "But nobody will be checking genitals, right?" So, no, you know, because I fuck up shit all the time. Wherever I go, I'm always fucking shit up. But yeah, you don't want people checking genitals. You don't want... We don't want that. That's not something we want. We don't want the segregation. All the women over here, all the men over here. How about all the people that are interested in this subject get in the room? You know? Everybody interested in the study of field mice. "No, but we need separate classes for men and women." Do we? Or can't we just whoever's interested in field mice.
Yeah, but it's mostly men that are interested in field mice.
Oh, okay, fine. Then we're not worried, right? We don't need to worry about, who cares? There's one woman, she's an anomaly. Be fine with anomalies. Get comfortable with anomalies. You're probably an anomaly in some area of your life. You probably don't fit into the mold, and hallelujah for that. The fact that you think differently about something is probably a benefit to the rest. You know? You don't need to be as far as me and be a contrarian. I have an automatic impulse to be a contrarian.
That's how I was born, man. It's part of my makeup. I can't help it. I was born this way.
But I was. I have that Socratic method, that Socratic argument built in. You might be able to hear that from these podcasts where I can take both sides of the argument. But this is definitely where I don't fit in with the right or the left. I want the left to continue pushing the multigender thing because it goes towards individualism and decentralization. Gender, a two-gender thing, is a very divisive thing. Nature's fine with it. I'm fine with nature, right? I'm fine with nature. I trust nature, even though it's going to kill all of us and is dead set to kill all of us, and we should fight nature at every turn. I still can see how nature is way ahead of us with these things. We don't need to worry about it. Most men will end up wanting to breed with women, and most women will end up wanting to breed with men. And those that don't, so what? They're an anomaly. Leave them alone. You don't have to trick them into it. And again, I brought this up on the last podcast, but of course the guy that's who invented the, what do you call it? The conversion therapy to turn gay people straight. Of course he's finally come out of the closet yesterday and admitted that he's gay. Of course. That's why he started the conversion therapy. He's the only one worried about it. He wanted to fit in. Now, who's to blame for that? Him or society? I would say maybe a little of both. Would it kill you to just go, hey, you're fine the way you are? And this is the other psychological component that really is sad to me. When you push the there's only two genders thing, it actually creates more mania in the people that don't fit into that category. So if you have a man that's born as a feminine man, and believe me, there are people that are born feminine with a penis. I know, because when I was a kid, I remember my best friend had a little brother who was like 1.5 or 2 when I met him, and I was like, that kid acts more like a girl, We're talking 1.5, 2 years old. And sure enough, he grew up as an effeminate man who is now married to a man, And nobody was shocked by this from birth. Gay from birth, feminine from birth. Let's just put it that way, feminine from birth. But when you make no room for that men are this, strong, rah, alpha, fuck the cucks, no betas, rah, and women are like this. This is the ideal femininity, and they all must conform to that. What you get is the people that don't fit into that feel this desire to fit into that, and then they think, well, shit, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like a masculine man. Therefore, maybe in order to fit in because of these strong rules, I got to cut off my penis to fit in. Where if you just go, no, it's fine. Feminine men are fine. There's plenty of room for feminine men. Plenty of room for masculine women. There's no problem with that. There are, everybody knows some dyke lesbians that, I call them stepdad lesbians. Why? Because they remind me of my stepdad. They're built like him. They got a gut. They got a small butt. They've got all these features of masculine, of the way a masculine body grows, But they've got a vagina. What? Who are you going to blame for that?
No, but they're still a woman.
Yeah, so what? Now should they pack butt implants in to give stereotypically feminine features? Do you see how that creates the mania? My position is like, you're fine. You are fine the way you are. You don't need to cut off your body parts or cram stuffing in. You're not a stuffed animal. You don't have to do that. If you want to wear a bra and put some socks in it, fine. That's not very permanent. You can take it off. But you don't need to cram those socks underneath your skin. You don't need to invert the skin on your penis and tuck it inside of yourself. And let me tell you, I think if the right would chill the fuck out, this stuff would go away. You wouldn't have so many people needing to fit into this binary system. Either or, one or the other. These stereotypes. Lay off with the fucking stereotypes. How about that? There is no stereotype, and you know it. You don't even like them. You might think you do, but no, your heroes don't fit in. Michael Jackson didn't fit in. A lot of drama around that. Queen didn't fit in. None of your heroes fit in to these stereotypes. Well, some of them do, but many of them do not. And make room for that. Make room for that. Leave people alone. Let them be different. You already know. And don't lie to me. I know you know people are born certain ways. I'm not the only one who's met a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old and thought that little boy, air quotes, is very girly. And the same thing goes with girls. You knew. Think back to second grade. Think about your class picture and think about the girl in your class. The one girl in your class who was like a boy. Super masculine. And now look her up on Facebook now and see that she's got a little bit of facial hair growing. You know? Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe it's sad that she tried to plug herself into a traditional relationship. We all know that too. We all know, we've all met the super gay, effeminate man. There was a man in my drama teacher, a wonderful woman, passed away a few years ago, but she was married to a gay man, and we all knew it. She was the only one that didn't know it. We all knew it. He was actually the director of a play I was in, Shakespearean play downtown in Salt Lake City, semi-professional stuff. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. Semi-professional theater. Shakespeare, even. Yeah, I'm a Shakespearean actor. Huh. And you thought I was dumb. Anyway, we all knew he was gay. And one of his best friends ended up working at our school as a hall monitor, and he was the gayest gay of gay. Like, everybody knew it, but they both denied it. They both were living these straight lives. And we're all going, no, dude, you're not straight. You're more effeminate than most of the females. And we're not talking about in just mannerisms. You can look at them, the way their faces are shaped. There's a difference between men and women in the stereotype general sense. When you can find a man with a penis that has feminine features, beautiful, soft, bigger eyeballs. Everything's, different. The way their body fat grows on their body, where it accumulates is different. You meet that man with the big woman's butt, and you meet that woman with a tiny stepdad butt. You meet them. They exist. It's real. Nature creates people differently. And so what if there are only two combinations of X, and XY? By the way, they aren't. I already went over that. But so what if that's the general thing? You don't need to make... Why are you creating an environment where they have to conform? Why? How do you benefit from driving these people crazy? How does that benefit you? Are you some sick, weird, sadistic fuck? Leave them alone. It's that attitude that societal attitude that often drives these people into self-mutilation and suicide. And if you think that that's a good thing, if you think you're being a good person by forcing these people who are obviously born differently than you, if you think you're doing something good by driving these people into self-mutilation, and honestly, I could say that it's probably a result, this overcorrection and this demand, this political movement where they're just trying, at first trying to just secure their own rights, but then all of a sudden it grows bigger, and then they're trying to make you act like they act or conform to their way. That seems to be a natural reaction to the bullshit of trying to make them to conform in the first place. If you stop trying to make people conform, if you can just send a message that, hey, however God made you, and again, I'm an atheist, but however nature made you is fine. Nature has some wisdom in it. And even if it doesn't, you're not just going to change it with your stupid policy by trying to say, no, there's only two, goddammit. There's got to be a boys section and a girls section. And that's just the way it is. That's what it says in the Bible. Yeah, okay. Use your eyeballs. You know it's not true. You know that people are born that way. Stop fucking with them. Leave them alone. We don't need people mutilating their own bodies to conform to your stupid goddamn ideal of what is male and what is female. Lay it off. And by the way, just in defense of people on the right, I don't think most people I know, especially the young people, I don't think most of the young people give a shit. They don't. Got some few old people that are hangers-on, and maybe a few young rebels that resent the oversteer. And I agree, the overcorrection is bad, but at least acknowledge your role in creating that overcorrection. If you had been accepting and kind, how about that? If you'd been accepting and kind and understanding that people aren't all like you, that there are anomalies in the world, maybe this overcorrection wouldn't have even happened. And maybe they wouldn't be trying to chop off their nuts. And maybe they wouldn't be trying to do chemical, hormonal replacement therapy. Because they'd be fine being their unique own recipe. And it's not like they're alone. They might be a very small sliver of the population, but when you add them all up, there are millions of them. Cut them some slack. Again, learn from the Navajos and the Indian populations that called them two-spirit. I'm totally fine with that. Absolutely fine. Why? I don't care about the psychological definition. I care about the fact that they are acknowledging that nature creates them. That nature created everything around us. In all the whole spectrum, every color of the rainbow. They all exist. So lay off. That's enough for my sermon for today. Thanks for listening.